What is up, guys? It's your boy obbldude, and today I wanted to go over skills a little bit because there are a lot of beginning players and even people who have been playing for, I wouldn't say a long time, but a decent amount of time, at least a couple months, few months, that they just don't know all the skills. So I figured I'd make a video going through most of these skills. I wouldn't say I know exactly what every single last skill does, but for the most part, I think I have a good idea on what like 90% of them do. And I think that'll help in the long run for some people because progression for your character is really important. And being able to level up and progress them a little more effectively and efficiently and helps a lot. And kind of knowing what to go for, what not to go for, that kind of stuff. So let's just jump into this. So you hit K and let's open up the skills. This is where all our skills are going to be. It's going to show you your entire amount of skill points at the top, which kind of just basically is basically just the XP for your level. That's essentially all that is. So let's just go one by one. So you have agility, right? And for these skills, I think for attribute skills, you'll notice that I have like skills in them, but there's no rank stated. And that's by design. There's not supposed to be a rank on those because those are just simply attributes. What these attributes do, basically, if you get certain skills, like let's say, I was trying to see if I could see one on here that affects it, but I don't think I do. But for example, like for health, let's say you get a certain amount of strength skills, right? So let's say you get like enough strength skill, right? This health will go up. So instead of like being 99, it'll go to 100 if I get enough like strength, like more strength, and then it'll increase my HP. And other skills do that as well, such as combat reflexes is definitely one that you definitely want because it'll do that. It'll increase your HP, and HP is definitely very important for hunting. That's something I feel like not a whole bunch of people talk about. It's more about like evade and dodge and that kind of stuff, and making sure the creatures miss you. And that is important, but at the same time, if you're fighting a mob that can one hit kill you, but you can kill it no problem, but if it hits you once, you're dead. I mean, that's kind of a high risk situation. So the higher HP you have, the better off you're going to be. But that's basically what these attribute skills are. They level up from getting other skills. So agility, for example, you can get basically just agility. You do get like agility skill and stuff like that, but it's from like a bunch of other skills. Intelligence is mainly you get that just from either engineering, mining, doing some crafting, that kind of stuff will get the intelligence up. Psyche is for Mindforce, or what I like to call this game's form of magic, where basically Psyche will just help with, your accuracy, your damage, basically your Mindforce overall. That's what it'll help there. Stamina is definitely another important one, I find at least, which I have none of. But I do hear, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I heard stamina also affects your health. So like you get a skill and you can get stamina from that skill, but you can also get health from that as well. So when you get stamina skills, I hear that it can also help increase your health skills as well. And then strength, basically that's simple. You get it by, melee hunting, couple other things I think, but melee hunting's kind of the main thing I've seen that go up from. Strength is definitely good for melee hunting, and it will also give you more health as well as your strength goes up. And a nice thing about strength too, that some of you guys might not know, if you notice, if you open up your inventory by hitting I, and if you look at your weight, 48 out of 180 kilograms, I believe that's what it's supposed to mean. This max number 180 will go up once you rank up your strength skill. So your strength skill can not only get you more health, but it can also help you carry more items in your inventory. So that's why that one's pretty important, I find. Especially if you're like a high-level miner or hunter and you're getting a bunch of loot. Like, you don't want to be walking around like, you want to be able to run still, at least for me. And basically, again, you just get that strength skill from leveling up melee and stuff. So, let's go into some more skills. Aim skill, pretty self-explanatory. That's for hunting. That will help with your range. If we go to view information and we look at our range, range in meters, that's what your aim's going to help. It's also going to help with hit, and I believe it also helps with crit. So these three things aim is really going to help you out on. So for hunting, aim is definitely a big one you want to target. Alertness. Now, alertness it's kind of like those attributes. It'll help other skills, and you can get it from a couple other skills, I believe. But what I heard that alertness is mainly used for is for aggro. So basically, the higher your alertness skill is, the better aggro range you'll get, essentially. That's what I've heard. I honestly don't know if that's true or not. I saw it on like a random YouTube video I saw, but I honestly don't know if that's true. So someone in the comments correct me below if I'm totally off point. Analysis. I know this has to do with like the animal investigator like profession skill path, which I know nothing about. I haven't touched that, looked into it, because I heard it was pretty much a dead thing that no one cares about and that doesn't serve any use or purpose for the most part, or at least now it doesn't. So, but that's basically what analysis is. I don't really care for it, so that's not a huge one. Anatomy. This is another big skill you want for hunting. Because anatomy, and we'll go back to I might as well leave my inventory open because I feel like I'm going to be doing this a lot. But your anatomy skill directly correlates with the amount of damage you can do. Now, I am not maxed on this weapon. I am not max eco right now. But the reason why I'm using this is, one, if you guys didn't see my other video, I've been having a really hard time finding a gun that I can use for my level maxed out. But the reason why I'm using it is because I am so close. If you see here, I'm so close. All this is maxed out. And I have a learning period bonus for both damage and hit. So that's like the big reason. But that was just a little side note that I wanted to throw in there. But anatomy is going to do your damage, like focus on your damage. So you want anatomy for damage. That's a big thing. So you definitely want to get a lot of anatomy skill. Animal lore. I know nothing about this, but I can make a guess that it's basically the main skill for animal taming. And the higher level that skill is, the higher level animals you'll be able to tame and tame more successfully, not the other word. So animal lore basically will help you tame more successfully. Let's just end it there, okay? Because I don't know anything more anyway. Armor technology, this is for crafting. Basically, it'll help improve your armor crafting. You know, not too much to say about that. So now we have artifact preservation. Now, I'm not 100% sure on what this is exactly supposed to do, but I know I've been getting it through my archaeology skill. So through like mining and drilling and stuff like that. So I know it has something to do with that, but I mean, the description below, if you guys hadn't noticed, is like a description for all the skills. But sometimes a lot of the skills aren't very clear on what they do or what they're used for, but it just says the ability to properly preserve an artifact once extracted. I honestly don't know what that's supposed to mean, to be honest. Athletics is a good one and a big one you want for mining again, because athletic skill is going to get you more health. That's right, another one that's going to get you more health. So if you need more health, if you need to tank more damage, athletic skill, and what was the other one? Or was there another one? Oh yeah, I said it before, but I didn't get there yet. But combat reflexes and stuff. But there's actually a bunch of skills that help get your HP up. And should definitely be taking advantage of those anytime you can. Athletic skill, it's kind of hard to get because every time I've gotten it, it's just from me running, like to try to find either a mob or make a drop or something. So for any of you chippers out here who are hunters, need some more health, this is definitely a good one to chip into. Attachments technology, basically for crafting again. Basically just being able to successfully craft, attachments for weapons and stuff. Now, BLP weaponry technology has a lot of different things that go into it. It can be used for crafting. I think mainly for like BLP weapons crafting, it'll help. But there's also a separate weapons like crafting skill for that as well. But I do know the BLP weaponry technology can help for BLP crafting. But the main thing you want this BLP for, if you're a BLP hunter, the more BLP weaponry technology skill you have, 1, will increase your damage. But also 2, if you notice, there's like this 100% part, so it's like recommended profession for hit and for damage. This is also going to play effect into this BLP weaponry technology. Now, I know I'm using a laser weapon, so it's not going to affect the BLP part. But basically, BLP and laser weaponry are do the exact same things, except for just different weapon types. So what I'm saying about BLP right now can be said for laser as well. So you want your either BLP or laser weaponry technology to be up so that this can be at 100. So basically it's going to help for damage, but also hit, I believe. And it affects other skills too. So you have all this right here. Boom. So that's basically, the important stuff when it comes to BLP. There's a couple little other things, but those are the main things you really want it for. Borogenesis, I think it's called. It's basically a healing skill, but it's not the healing skill. This is definitely something different, I believe. I want to say it's something like Mindforce-y, but I don't think so. I don't know a whole lot about Mindforce. So I don't know if that's what it is, but I have a decent amount of like first aid, diagnosis, all that different stuff. And I've never gotten this skill once. So I don't know if it's like something a little different. Because if you read the thing, it just says it's the ability to heal and aid others, even defeating death. So I have a feeling it's either like a Mindforce thing or like something that you use DNA with. I honestly don't know, to be honest. Body sculpting, really simple. It's just basically you can do like plastic surgery in this game. You can people can pay you to like change like how their avatar looks if they want to, which is kind of cool how MindArc took a function like that's just in a game or some games and made it like a profession that like you can make money with. I think that's kind of cool. Not that I'd do it, but so basically it just, the higher level you have of body sculpting, the more you can do with avatar creation and stuff. So you want to be a pretty high level for people to pay for that, I believe. So that's basically the gist on body sculpting. The botany, it just says botany is the science of study of plants. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't. I really don't. It's not that important though. I don't think you're gonna lose like money not knowing it. So I think you're safe not knowing what that is. But take it for what it is. And also guys, at the end of this video, I'm also gonna be providing a resource down below that's really good. That'll give you so much more information on each skill and what it does and stuff. So take a look down there as well for that. Bravado. Now, Bravado, this is one I like to talk about because I think this one's kind of cool. I don't know 100% about like the full capacity of Bravado. So basically the main function of Bravado is it's basically the equivalent to anatomy. but for Mindforce. So basically, if you're doing Mindforce, you're going to want Bravado because it's going to dictate your hit and damage for your Mindforce attacks or magic. I like calling it magic just because I think it's a little more relatable. But yeah, Carpentry, pretty straightforward. You can create things. I know there was talk about like being able to buy like a land area and build stuff on it, build houses or buildings or something. I don't think that's a thing, and I don't know how in depth this carpentry skill really goes. But again, check the resource down below, and it might give you some info on that. Clubs is pretty straightforward. It just focuses on the hit and the effectiveness of using club weapons. That's basically it. Maces, that kind of stuff. Color matching. This is part of the coloring profession. So I think this has to do with like being able to use different types of colors and different sorts of patterns and stuff like that. I think that's like the main function of that. Coloring is just your overall coloring skill and how successful you are at coloring clothes and stuff like that. Combat reflexes, I already talked a little bit about it. Combat reflexes basically will improve your health, just like where was it? Athletics and strength. So combat reflexes will give you mad HP gains. The resource I'm linking below, I saw it. Like combat reflexes is like the second best like in HP gains, I think, or like somewhere around there. So combat reflexes definitely huge for HP for hunting. As far as that, I don't think combat reflexes does anything else. It might have to do maybe with like your ability to get missed by attacks. So like there's evade. So like you get attacked by a mob, you evade it, or they hit you, or they miss. And I think combat reflexes has a small bit to do with like that missing portion as well. I think. I could be wrong about that. That might work totally different. But I do know combat reflexes gives you huge HP gains. So if you want to get higher HP for, quicker, combat reflexes is definitely one you want to go for. Computer skills, I heard this has an array of different uses. You can operate certain like ships, like motherships or something. You can like drive them more efficiently or something. It also helps with mining a little bit. I don't think crafting, so I think it does a little bit for mining, but I don't think a whole lot. But not like the biggest skill, that I would say is needed. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some big importance for computer skill. I'm just not 100% sure, but I do know computer skill is very effective for like space combat and space flights and stuff like that. Concentration. This is part of the skinning. Not skinning. This is part of the sweating profession, mainly. So when you sweat mobs, basically how often and how quickly you can sweat them is going to be based off this concentration skill. I don't know what courage is supposed to do. I know I get it all the time from hunting. I'm just not really sure. The thing is, a lot of these skills that I don't really know about, like courage, for example, I somewhat know like what profession they're for, just not exactly what they do. But I know courage probably helps increase a couple of your hunting skills. Cryogenics, again, I don't know a whole lot about Mindforce. But if I had to guess, I would say this is another Mindforce skill. I know there's different types of Mindforce. There's pyro, there's like electricity, and there's some other things you can do with Mindforce, like different type of Mindforce attacks. So if I had to guess, this is what you would want to skill if like you wanted to use an electrical Mindforce attack. And then I think there's another skill in here called pyrotechnics. I think I might be wrong. So if you want to go for like an electric Mindforce attack, cryogenics is something you're going to want to go for. Dexterity. Now, when it comes to this, I can only speculate. Dexterity will help with some other skills. I think evade's one of them, and I think combat reflexes might be another. Again, I might be wrong on that. I'm kind of just going off my head. I have like nothing in front of me right now. But dexterity basically is going to help you reduce your decay. That's my speculation. I could be wrong. It could do something totally different because this is Mind Arc and Entropia, so the obvious stuff might not be so obvious. But I think this is going to help with your decay. And basically, the better armor you have, it'll decay less anyway. But then with this dexterity skill, it'll decay even less than that. So as far as dexterity goes, I think that's the main importance of it. Diagnosis is part of your first aid skill. So what diagnosis is basically going to do is allow you to heal essentially for more damage more successfully. Because like when you heal yourself, it'll do like an array of different, it'll do like a range of how much healing you do. And depending on where on the scale of that range is, so like let's say you can heal from like 10 HP to like 20 HP. Whether you're healing 10 HP more often or 20 HP more often is basically going to be based off your diagnosis skill. So it's definitely a good one to go for if you're trying to heal 100%. Dispense decoy. I have no clue what this is. Someone tell me below. I have no idea. You can check the tool down below that I've linked, that I've mentioned probably a million times already, and see what it says about dispense decoy. Alright, so now we're on dodge. Your dodge skill is going to help you dodge bullets so that you don't get hit as often from being shot at. So definitely a good skill you want to have. Drilling, pretty much self-explanatory, I think at least. Drilling is just going to help you extract what's in the ground. And there's other skills that help with this too, but drilling's kind of that main skill that helps your extracting. And then there's also a hidden skill, which I don't think I have. That's like an extraction skill or something like that, which then kind of plays into the drilling skill as well. Electrokinesis, I'm going to go with the same thing as cryogenetics, I guess. I think these two go hand in hand. So I think electrokinesis is going to also help you with your damage and hit when it comes to your cryogenic skill. So basically you can think of cryogenic, well, actually, we haven't really gotten that far yet, but basically think of cryogenics and electrokinesis as like you want to do Mindforce, you want to do electric attacks, you want a skill in that. So cryogenetics and electrokinesis are what you're going to want to do better hit and damage. So your electronic skill. Your electronic skill is basically going to help you with your electric manufacturing. So creating electrical type of components, anything that requires electrical engineering, this skill is going to help you with. If you're going into the electronics engineer profession, this is one you definitely want to look at. Engineering is just your basic overall engineering skill that essentially you need for crafting, no matter what you're crafting. Basically all it is. Evade, just like dodge, evade is the ability to dodge melee attacks. So they could be just, creatures attacking you, or swords, which, I mean, I'm sure if you did PvP and someone came at you with a sword and you had high evade, that's basically, you're going to be dodging those and stuff. So evade is like one of the most important skills for hunting, because this is basically going to determine how many times you get hit. Explosive projectile weaponry. Whoa, that was hard to say. This skill is basically just like your BLP skill that I mentioned, how it's going to help with like your BLP damage and hit and stuff like that. That's basically what this is, except for rocket launchers, I guess, is the best way to put it. You want to run rocket launchers and do some AoE damage, you're living here all day, dude. All day. This is where you're going to be living. And I've thought about that because honestly, rocket launchers are considered to be extremely uneco. But dude, imagine like being able to kill like 4 mobs, just like, you know those mobs that like to cluster really close, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get like ganked by all 4 of these guys at once. So it's like you break out that rocket launcher and you just, and you can do like an AoE area damage. So you could take out 4 mobs technically and potentially with like a couple shots or so, depending on how much damage you do, how high level they are. But I wanted to go on that quick tangent because I've thought about doing this because I thought that would be so cool. Like, I don't know. But this is for rocket launchers. If you want to hunt with rocket launchers, this is the skill you want to be going with right here. Face sculpting, it's basically part of the, what was it called again? I can't even remember what that skill was called now. Basically, with this skill, you will be able to modify people's faces in different ways. And the higher the skill is, the more options you'll have, basically. So that's just part of that body sculpting skill. So you have to like get the face skill up to, you know, do more intricate stuff with it. And the same thing with the body sculpting and that kind of stuff. So that's the only time you'd really need to worry about body sculpt and face sculpting. First aid. First aid is basically just your healing generic first aid skill for healing with healing devices. So your Vivos and FAPs and all that stuff. Gauss weapon technology. Not a clue what this is. I'm guessing it's a type of weapon. Never seen a Gauss weapon in my life. Never heard of it. Don't know a thing about it. Anyone that knows anything about it that wants to say something about it, comments below. If you want to look into it on Entropia Wiki, again, links below. Genetics. Now, this is basically a skill you're going to be using for DNA. DNA can be used for several different things. The main things I kind of know about it is being able to create better mobs with certain DNA that you have, because you can basically buy a land area and, you know, get some DNA, get that skill up, and make some mobs to put onto your land area and stuff like that, or to do for someone else or whatever. But genetics is basically going to help you out with different DNA kind of stuff. Geology is part of your mining profession, so you're definitely going to want geology. It'll basically just, I know it improves your stats when it comes to your finder and stuff like that, and driller. I know it improves your stats, but it is important. You do want to go for it for mining, and it will help with at least your stats. So if you're trying to, you know, max out a finder, geology is definitely going to help with that at least. Hairstylist, basically same thing as like body sculpting except for hair. That's all I really have to say about that. Handgun skill. Basically, your handgun skill is going to basically affect your overall stats for handguns. Heavy melee weapons, pretty much what it sounds like. Just a certain type of melee weapon you can use. Heavy weapons, this is going to be your like heavier guns, like those guns that kind of look like, I don't know if you guys seen them, but I saw this gun once that someone had, and it almost kind of looked like a Gatling gun. And this is kind of just for like a weapon type, like heavy weapons basically. It's basically pretty straightforward for that. Inflict melee damage as well. Pretty straightforward. The amount of melee damage that, you know, can be inflicted through melee. Same thing with range damage, except this will be for pistols, rifles, just guns in general. Intelligence, we already went through that. Jamming, I know has to do with Mindforce, but I don't have any clue what it does. So, laser weaponry technology, same thing as what I talked about with the BLP. it's going to affect your damage and hit effectiveness for guns, but laser guns instead of BLP. So this literally does the same thing as BLP weaponry technology, except it's just for a different type of gun, which is lasers. Light melee weapons, again, pretty straightforward. Just, your daggers, your, stuff like that. Those would be considered your light melee weapons. And long blades. Long blades. I don't know anything about long blades. Yeah, I don't. No, it's true. It's true. I don't. I really don't. I know it has something to do with swords. Machinery. Now, I've gotten a little bit from it, but basically it's just like going to help you like craft things. Textiles. This one's simple. This goes hand in hand with the coloring skills. With coloring, you can make different patterns, textiles, different stuff like that. Make some pretty cool stuff if you're high enough level. So that's what this textile skill is for. It's just for the coloring skill. Manufacture armor, pretty straightforward. Just your skill in manufacturing armor. Same thing with attachments. I think we went through some of this stuff. Manufacture electronic equipment. It's going to go hand in hand with your electronic skill we went over earlier. It's going to help with your electrical engineering skills. You'll be able to craft better things for higher values, more successfully, and stuff like that. So if you're a electronics engineer, this is one you want to go with. Manufacture enhancers, pretty straightforward. Your ability to, craft enhancers successfully. Same thing with mechanical equipment. Literally, it's the same thing, just for mechanical equipment. And same thing for metal and tools, vehicles, and weapons. Marksmanship. This is a hidden skill. This is a skill you will unlock once you get to level 10 of any combat skill. So, like, let's say you're level 10 in handgun, which is how I got it. If you're level 10 in handgun, let's go back. If you're level 10 in handgun, you'll get marksmanship. And then that'll give you an extra skill to help increase your damage. Mechanic skill. This one has to do with mechanical engineering again. Crafting like your different types of components and stuff. This will help your success rates and stuff like that as well for crafting. So if you're going into like, manufacturing mechanical equipment, this is definitely one skill you want to keep an eye on. Melee combat, pretty straightforward. This is basically going to help you with your damage as far as melee goes. So this is like your anatomy, your inflict range damage for guns and stuff like that. That's basically what your melee combat is. Now this one I know about, but I don't really know how it works. So this is your mentorship skill. This is a specific skill to mentor people, new players that come into the game, and help them out. I don't know how this skill progresses. I don't know how the game, I'm like me personally, I'm a programmer, right? And I have like a computer science programming background. Used to do IT for a living. Got out of that though. But from a programmer standpoint, like myself, it doesn't make sense to me how the game and the code register this skill. I simply don't understand it. Maybe there's like if there was like a trainer or someone, like a mentor trainer that you had to go up to and it partnered you with someone or something, I could see how that works. That makes sense. But basically this is just mentoring people. I don't know how it works though. This I've never even heard of. So we already know where that's going, but let's read it. Metallurgy is the knowledge of metals and how to analyze their elemental structure, both pure samples, alloys, and compounds. Mining, really straightforward. This is just the ability to mine for resources. Like, basically, this is going to determine the depth that you can mine at. Particle beamer technology, like, I guess it's a type of weapon, and it might be for crafting, it might be for hunting. I don't know. I've never heard of a particle beam weapon in this game, so I honestly don't know. Perception. This is a funny one, because this is a skill that I don't think anybody fully understands how it works. Perception, I know, at least used to be big for mining. I know you gain perception from hunting too. And basically, what it used to kind of mean for this skill, like way back, it hasn't meant this in quite a few times. It might still mean this to some extent, but basically, from my understanding, is that in simplest terms, what perception at least used to mean in some way, shape, or form was that for mining, if you had high perception skills, you could global easier or get a Hoth or something like that. And then the same thing for hunting. I don't think it's quite the case now. And honestly, other than that, I have no idea what this skill would also do. It might, depending on what Entropia Wiki says, it might, enhance some of your other skills as well, which would be nice. But other than that, not really sure. Plasma, again, something I haven't really seen at all, so I really don't know anything. But plastic surgery, this is basically your overall sculpting, body sculpting profession. Power fist, this is for melee weapons. There's actually a weapon called a power fist in the game. You can actually buy one from the TT, I think. But basically, this is like your hand-to-hand combat skill in a way. So you equip like these like power glove thingies called power fists, and then you can basically punch mobs and punch people, which is kind of cool. Not gonna lie, it's kind of cool. Very uneco, but very cool. Precision artifact extraction. I'm assuming this is for treasure hunting, because I know artifacts have to do with like the treasure hunting part of mining. So I would assume that this skill would be for, like, let's say you're at Treasure Island or something, or you're in some area that has treasure, and you're hunting for ores, end matter, and treasure. Basically, what this precision artifact extraction might do, because I'm not 100% sure, this is just my guess, because I don't know anything about treasure hunting to be honest. But like when you're mining, and let's say you find some Listerium, and let's say you find like a 2 PED claim of Listerium, and it'll say you drilled up 50 peck worth of Listerium or 50 Listerium, then you pulled up 40 Listerium, then you pulled up 50 Listerium again, and then you pulled up like 30 Listerium. Every time you extract, it's extracting a different amount every time. So the higher this precision artifact extraction is, the more treasure you can extract from the ground at once. And then the lower it is. Prospecting, very important for mining. This is going to help you find ores. So anytime you find an ore, and it's basically the skill for ore, finding ore in mining. It's pretty much all it is. We already went through the psyche thing, I think, but just Mindforce stuff. Pyrokinesis. So I knew there was like a pyrotechnics skill in here. This is the same thing as the cryogenetics and the other one that I mentioned before, except instead of electricity, this is for fire. So if you wanted to, get your pyro skill up with Mindforce, get your Mindforce pyro skills and be a freaking necromancer, this is where you want to go. Dude, making this video is making me want to do so many different things, and I know I can't afford it. But it's making me want to, man. Alright, reclaiming skill. Now this is a skill I didn't fully know about until somewhat recently, maybe the past few months. Mainly just because I don't really do it. But reclaiming skill is basically going to determine how much loot that you get from a robot. So you're hunting a robot, you kill the robot, you loot the robot. That's where this reclaiming skill comes in. The more reclaiming skill you have, based on your level, the mob's level, and your reclaiming skill, will determine how much loot you actually get. And that's actually a pretty nice skill, and it's a helpful skill. And a lot of people who have played this game previously to the update of the skinning skills and the looter profession, a lot of people hate it. But you see, me personally, I love it. Not just because it didn't affect me, but mainly because now you have some sort of guide on how you can get more loot. You know what I mean? Now it's like, oh, okay, let me get this skill up. But I think the main point of this whole looter profession, the reclaiming, skinning, everything, I think the main point of it is that the higher skill you have in that looter profession, the better chances you have of looting something with markup. So resource gathering is pretty much your gathering of resources. So you're getting out your Terratech, chopping down some trees, and receiving some wood. That's your resource gathering, and that'll get your resource gathering up. And the better resource gathering you have, the better loot you can get from harvesting those trees and stuff like that. So that's basically what resource gathering is. Rifle skill is basically the same thing as handgun skill, except for rifles. Now, all these scannings, all this scanning stuff, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know anything about scanning. I don't know the point of it. I don't know why you would want to do it. It just seems like a giant waste of time and money to me. But I honestly don't know anything about these except for what this says down below. So I honestly have no clue what the scanning's for, but to me it sounds like kind of just a BS profession, to be honest. So scourging. Scourging is the same thing as reclaiming, except instead of for robots, it is for mutants. So, and then short blades, same thing as the long blades, except for, you know, your daggers and stuff like that. So pretty straightforward stuff. Skinning, exactly the same as reclaiming and scourging, except it's for animals. So it determines how much loot you're going to get from animals. Spacecraft engineering. This has to do with like piloting motherships and big spacecrafts and stuff. I don't know anything about that. So that's all I can really say on it. And spacecraft pilot, pretty much the same thing. I don't really know why you would want to get these skills up. The only thing I can think of to why you would want these type of skills, like spacecraft pilot and spacecraft engineering and stuff like that, is for space combat. And I think it helps you in space combat. So, you know, you're flying in space, you got a ship with weapons, and someone's attacking you, or you go and attack someone. I think it's going to help with the combat. And yeah, so that leads me into spacecraft weaponry, pretty much the same thing. It's just going to help you overall with this is basically, I think, your like inflict range damage and your laser weaponry technology for spacecraft, basically. That's what it seems like to me. We already went through stamina and strength and stuff. Support weapon systems. I honestly don't know what this is. I don't even think I can make an assumption, to be honest. I have some, so I know it can't be for like spacecraft stuff, I don't think, because I haven't done any, but I honestly don't know what that is. Support weapon systems. I mean, from the explanation here, it seems like this might be similar to the weapons handling skill almost, you know, which is basically just being able to use various types of weapons and being more efficient with them and stuff. Surveying, this one's simple. This is for mining. Surveying is the skill that helps you find end matter in the ground from mining. So that's what surveying does. Pretty straightforward. Sweat gatherer, this is for sweating. So the higher sweat gatherer skill you have, the better you can sweat, the more effectively you can sweat, the more efficiently, and all that. Tailoring goes into kind of the clothing thing again. You can basically tailor clothes, which is pretty cool. You can make just, clothes and stuff, which might be something cool to go into. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to go into, but, Telepathy, no clue. But if I had to assume what telepathy is, I would have to assume that this definitely is a Mindforce thing, but it's definitely probably something that'll help you with, like, maybe using Mindforce attacks, or maybe give you more options for Mindforce attacks. I honestly don't know what telepathy is, but I wouldn't really worry about it unless you want to go into Mindforce. Texture engineering, kind of the same thing as the textile thing. Basically, you can put textures onto like materials instead of clothes. So if I had to guess, you could use this to like paint like a car or some kind of vehicle or something. And then texture and pattern matching is the skill on matching patterns that essentially look good together. So essentially, without the texture pattern skill, basically any kind of texture or textile thing you're trying to do isn't going to look as good because you don't have enough skills for the pattern matching. So tier upgrading, this one's kind of simple. This is just, your skill in tiering up weapons, gear, whatever. Not really a super important one in my opinion. Tools technology, I honestly have no clue specifically what it's for. Pretty sure it has to do with crafting and stuff, but not 100% sure on what tools does. Wow, I'm kind of upset with myself. I thought I knew a little more than I did, to be honest. Translocation, I'm guessing this is another Mindforce skill, because I know you can use like Mindforce and stuff like that to like teleport and jump to different areas and stuff like that. So I'm assuming your translocation skill is like the higher skill you have, the more accurate you are in like your jumps for teleporting and stuff like that. Treasure sense is basically the same as your prospecting and surveying for mining, except instead of ores and end matter, this is going to be for treasure. Vehicle repairing is going to it's basically self-explanatory. It's to be more skilled and more efficient and more successful healing vehicles. And I've been trying to get into this a little bit too. I just don't know quite enough about it yet, but I do plan on doing this at some point. Vehicle technology is just basically being able to craft different parts to vehicles. So that one's pretty straightforward. Same thing with weapons. Weapon technology is just the ability to create weapons in crafting. So your weapons handling skill is going to do, basically it's going to help you in your hit professions for the most part. And it also gives just as much HP gains as combat reflexes. So you combine like weapons handling with combat reflexes with athletics, you could be gaining HP for days, dude, and be tanking fat damage. But yeah, that's basically what weapons handling is, just for hit and get some HP. Whip, is just your ability to use whips. Straightforward. Wood cutting is just, you know, being able to form wood and stuff like that. I don't really know much about it, so, you know. Wood processing. This one I have heard about. This is kind of like, you like go out, collect wood, and then somehow you process that wood, and then you kind of like sell it. It's kind of like refining in a way. I'm not really sure how it works. But I know you go out, get wood, or you're supposed to go out, get wood, do something with the wood, and then sell it. That's what I know. So I'm assuming that's what this wood processing skill is. And then zoology is just the knowledge of animals, I guess. I think it's more for like taming and for maybe scanning or something. But I don't even know how I have 35 points in this, to be honest. I don't know where it came from. Don't know how it got there. But it's there. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all the skills. There was actually quite a bit more that I actually didn't really know than I thought I did, to be honest. But those are all the skills. That's kind of what all the skills do, what they're for, their purpose, for the most part, from what I could say. I'm also going to leave a link below for Entropia Wiki, just so that you guys can go there, check out the skills. If you click those skills, it'll show you exactly what other skills it's going to help improve as well. And it's really good for those attributes as well, so that you know how to get those attributes higher too for like health and stuff. So take a look down below as well. Hope this video helps some of you guys out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.